yeah!
And welcome to another episode of Spare from the Past. Today's going back to WWE, and we're going to WWE Cyber Sunday 2008. I've got Jacob here. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going. I've been sick the last few days. Pretty sure I hurt myself sneezing this morning, so old age is catching up to me. But I'm happy to talk about this show.
But yeah, I don't have much ramble on this. Just going into this. The first match that I had once my note page actually comes up. We had Rey Mysterio versus Kane, and the options that the fans could vote from was no holds barred, falls count anywhere in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Out of those 3 options, which one would you have voted for Rey Mysterio versus Kane?
I definitely would have went no holds barred.
Yeah, and that's the one that they went for this, and yeah, and this was one of those ones, like, it was a really good match. Like, it's just like they utilized the reference well, and it's just one of those ones with and it's one of those ones like seeing Rey Mysterio playing out the win versus Kane in this was a little bit surprising, but I don't know if they were feuding before this or not, but it was just a really good match between the two, though. So what did you think about the match, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, and now that I think about it, like, the only difference between a no holds barred and a false count anywhere is that in the false count anywhere you can pin them anywhere. So it essentially could have been the same match, just you pin them on the outside. But no, I agree. I thought this was a really strong match to open the show with. I think I always enjoy these sort of, David versus Goliath matches when the two people involved are really good workers, and Kane and Rey Mysterio are two really good workers. I think Rey Mysterio absolutely works well with bigger opponents because just about everybody is bigger than him. I think they utilized the stipulation really well. And I think the crowd was into the match. I think they moved at a good pace. They slowed it down when they needed to. I think they both kind of shined with their different styles. And Rey ended up picking up the victory. He's always been a crowd favorite, so you can never go wrong with a Rey Mysterio win to kick off your show.
Yeah. But after the match, like, we had a few segments of this. I'm going to cover them all like in just one blob, as they're pretty much the same. We had like various segments of the Divas Halloween costume contest voting segment, which I was getting really annoyed with Jerry Lawler throughout the thing. Like, I was like, every time the phone was like, I want to see these costumes, like as Jerry Lawler would often do during this period. So the divas that were represented, some of them I remember, some of them I don't. Some of them I actually had to look up some of them. But we had Candice Michelle as Marilyn Monroe, we had Katie Lee Burchill as a vampire, Michelle McCool as a soldier, Lena Yada as a ninja, who I don't really know who that one is. But, or Lena Yada is, I don't remember her much. We had Beth Phoenix as a gladiator, Maria as a bunny, Kelly as a sailor, Gillian Hall as Batgirl, Tiffany as a nun, Brie Bella as Cleopatra, Natalia as a police officer, Eve Torres as a Ninja Turtle, Maurice as a French maid, Layla as Princess Leia, Victoria as a banana, Mickey James as Lara Croft. Out of the costumes, which one of them was your favorite, and which one would you have voted for if you're watching live?
Oh, definitely the Ninja Turtle, Eve Torres. I mean, I love the Ninja Turtles and anything Ninja Turtle, and I think she pulled it off. I like that they weren't all like, because this was the era, like, I think they were moving into the PG era, but not quite.
Yeah.
So some of them were still, sexy, and I'm glad not all of them were like that. Some of them were silly, but yeah, the Ninja Turtle was probably my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I really liked Layla as Princess Layla, or as she called herself, Princess Layla, which was just a fun play on there. Yeah, but the winner ultimately was Mickey James, and then they brought out all the like divas in their costumes, which we'll get into for some of these. I kind of hope they would have some of the people, if they had other segments throughout the thing, to stay in their costumes. Like if we to have Beth Phoenix come out managing Santino for his match we'll get to later. But Mickey James was announced as the winner. And as always with these kind of costume contest things, like a big brawl breaks out because I kind of expected the GM to come out like, you know what, let's have a Halloween contest battle royal. But what did you think of Mickey James winning the costume contest ultimately?
I thought it was whatever. I think looking back on it, I think it's amazing how far women's wrestling has come, because I think it's evident that and maybe not, maybe unfairly, some of them were just there because of their looks, and not a lot of them were able to showcase their wrestling skills. So I think it's a nice kind of like reminder of, hey, look how far women's wrestling has come. Now we're getting like 2 or 3 women's matches on a show, where just 15 years ago, hey, let's dress them up and parade them out there and just have people vote on them. I thought it was still fun, a product of its time. Obviously, I think it's fun looking back on it, but I think, and Mickey James, I think she pulled off Laura Croft pretty well.
Yeah, and to show how far now we're even getting mid card titles for women's now as well. Right. Well, at least one mid card title at the moment. War hasn't started. I don't know if they're following suit for Intercontinental, but it's definitely about time. I kind of half expect them to announce it when NXT announced like the Women's North American Championship, but it is what it is. But then next up, we had a segment with Chris Jericho talking to Ted DiBiase, Cody Rhodes, and Manu. Remember Manu? Who I'm surprised hasn't been dragged out for the ongoing Bloodline storyline. Because he's the cousin of Roman Reigns. But talking to them to try and get sort of Randy Orton to help him like in his match at later on. But what do you think of the segment of Chris Jericho talking to Legacy to get help?
Yeah, I thought, and obviously we saw a few of these. It's weird seeing a heel faction kind of do face things, but I still thought it was good. Like, it just shows, like, I think at this time nobody really liked Chris Jericho. He had just returned, and he was doing this new character now, and very much more like menacing heel. And I thought it was a good segment. It's amazing to see how far Cody Rhodes has come to in the last 16 years.
But moving on, we had the ECW Championship match between Matt Hardy and now his opponent wasn't decided at the time. It was either Mark Henry, Evan Bourne, or Finlay. Which of those three would you have personally voted for?
No, back in 2008, I probably would have voted Finlay. I've always been a big fan of Finlay, and I always thought like he was somebody who should have held a title in WWE, and I thought the ECW title especially would have been a perfect title for him to hold. Don't give him a crazy long reign, but give him a 2 or 3 month long reign, and I think he can do good things with it. I thought he's always been good in the ring, and I thought a match between him and Matt Hardy would have been excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I probably would have gone the same. I probably would have gone Finlay as well, for a different reason, but just for the fact that, like, just to see Hornswoggle ringside, I really enjoyed just seeing Hornswoggle anytime he could. But Evan Bourne was ultimately picked the winner there. And it's one of those ones like and this definitely I think I missed this pay-per-view, but this is definitely the era when I started watching. But like Evan Bourne, I always found was one of these exciting like wrestlers to watch. Because I'm just trying to remember. So I don't think it was around much around this time. I think this is kind of when he first kind of came on the scene. I can't have been that much long before this. But Evan Bourne is always exciting to watch when it's like his just his high flying moves and all that, and it's just a really good match and just an enjoyable one. So I think Matt Hardy and Evan Bourne actually complemented each other well in this. But Jake, what are your thoughts about Matt Hardy versus Evan Bourne?
Yeah, Evan Bourne, he debuted, I believe, for ECW in June of this year, so it's only 4 months later, and he's already competing for at least that brand's top title, and I think this right here is the definition of a show stealer. I think both men brought it. Obviously Evan Bourne's got the high flying style, and Matt can he can match that, but also bring it to the mat and use a little bit of power when he has that advantage. I think there were several near falls where I thought, obviously, looking back, but like if you take that out of it, it's like, oh, maybe like Evan Bourne, he was over with the crowd. Obviously, he got like 59% of the vote, which I still don't know. Are these real, or 69%? Sorry. I still don't know. Are these real numbers? Are they just making these up because wrestling is predetermined? Because if that's the case, like how do you work a match with somebody you don't know you're gonna face? So it's always been an interesting premise for a pay-per-view for me. But yeah, this match it was really good. I think we started off with two really good matches. I don't know if these two ran it back. I'm going to look into it because I thought their match here was really good. And if they ran it back, like I definitely want to see those out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think especially in these early days, I did read up about it. We'll get to one of the matches when we get to it. There's like I remember reading an interview of someone that was said like if he was voted into the match, then he would they would have booked him to take the title away. But obviously I'll get to that when we get to that point because there'll be sort of later on. But yeah, it's definitely one of those interesting things with these voting, and I'd imagine that Matt Hardy would have had talks with all three of them, and to sort of work out a game plan for each of the opponents. So, but next up, and this is one of those ones where I feel it was a bit mean to have this kind of voting thing because they could vote on a tag team match that they wanted. So the options was between Mickey James and Jamie Noble versus Layla and William Regal, Miz and Morrison versus Crime Time, and CM Punk and Kofi versus Rose and DiBiase. And this is one of those ones on for this poll specifically. I think it's me having a whole entire match to vote on because it kind of means to say like Punk Kofi's you know what? You might have a match at this pay per view, or you might not. It depends on what the universe wants. But out of these three match options, which one would you have voted for?
It's tough between the one that won and Punk and Kingston versus Rhodes and DiBiase. I think ultimately I would have went Miz and Morrison versus Crime Time because I think at the time Crime Time was just such an entertaining tag team, and Miz and Morrison were just you love to hate them as heels. So I thought their dynamic worked really well.
Yeah, yeah. And funnily enough, I probably would have voted Punk and Kofi versus Rhodes and DiBiase just for the reason that it's super weird to put a wrestler on the poster if they're not going to use. Yeah, but that's kind of the thing when it comes to a lot of these WWE posts. They have them planned out way in advance, and so some of the wrestlers for whatever reason may not be on there. But we got Miz and Morrison versus Crime Time, which I still think was a really fun match. I completely forgot Miz had the goofy hat on. I really did not like that hat. I prefer more duct tape over his mouth these days. But anyway, we had Mrs. Morrison was Crime Time, but Crime Time was I really enjoyed watching the tag team of Crime Time. It was and rest in peace, Shad. But I want to believe I think he died saving someone if I remember rightly. But yeah. So but Crime Time is one of those tag teams that like if I could go back in time and bring one tag team back, I would have been Cromwell. They're just really entertaining to watch, and I think nowadays, like you could probably make that a 3-person tag, maybe for Truth, and they could add to some interesting dynamics with it. But Jake, what are your thoughts about Miz and Morrison versus Prime Time?
Yeah, he died saving his son.
Yeah,
And so yeah, shout out to him. He was a good guy. As far as the match goes, yeah, I think at this time and during their whole run, like Crime Time was just super over with the crowd, and again, Miz and Morrison were those heels that you'd love to hate, and so their dynamic worked really well. Um, and yeah, this I remember this feud because they both had like these internet shows. They mentioned them on commentary, the Word Up and the Dirt Sheet, and so it's it's interesting that like this match had the feud that the fans wanted to see over the tag team championships themselves. Yeah, I thought all four guys worked really well. I thought it was a really solid tag team match. I don't think there's anything special to write home about here. I think it was just a really solid tag team match. And again, I think I'm going to say that about most of these matches, except for maybe the next one, which was more of a segment. Really, we'll get to that though. Yeah, I think just to get it out there, I thought this was a really solid show, and I'm glad you asked me to be on this one because I didn't watch this live, but going back and rewatching it, like I had a lot of fun with this.
yeah. And then like we had another one of Chris Jericho asking for help segments. This time he goes up to the Great Khali to be in his corner, and I always find it funny when like Great Khali says this really long thing in Indian. It's like his translator says, "Great Khali says no." um, but um, but what are your thoughts about Jericho asking Great Khali for help?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I think Great Khali can be entertaining when he wants to be. I think they tried to make him this monster heel. He's not the best in ring worker, but I think he can nail the comedic timing when given a chance. And yeah, I mean, Chris Jericho's just being all serious and like you said, his translator, he just goes on for like 30, 45 seconds, and he's like, yeah, he said no. It makes me wonder what he's actually saying.
Oh yeah. But next up, we had Santino Morello defending his Intercontinental Championship. The voting options we had was Honky Tonk Man, Goldust, and Rowdy Roddy Piper. Out of those three options, which one would you have picked?
Oh, Goldust for sure. I think, but given where the storyline was going and what I think the winner made sense. But again, Goldust is always one of those like and he's still working today. Dustin Rhodes, I think he's just always been a great in-ring worker, and Goldust is just one of my favorite characters. So I would have loved to have seen a match between those two, and instead of what we got.
Yeah, I mean, um, I mean, it's one of those ones I would have voted like just because this is one of those ones like I did watch this like Santino a lot. I really enjoyed Santino doing his promos, and I would have voted Honky Tonk Man for the reason that because I really love when Santino would do these honkometer promos like Honky Tonk Man held this title for X amount of years, and I'm going to beat it. And then just his whole promo where he was like running down other people, like Shazam O'Neal when Shaq was in the crowd. And I couldn't clearly hear who the other two. I'm pretty sure he talked trash about Matthew Lillard, which didn't.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
pretty sure he said
what?
Matt Lillard, and the match itself was it was like I had a lot of fun, but I was entertained, like especially when they did the whole dance off moment, and then like but then Santana got upset at Beth Phoenix when she caused disqualification, causing Honky Tonk Man to win, but he didn't lose the title. And then like and we'll definitely get to another one where all the other two voting options would have come out anyway, and did something because Goldust and Wadipo both come out and they triple team Santino. But what are your thoughts about this segment?
I would have been fine with this if this was like a Monday Night Raw segment. I don't think this is something that you do on a pay-per-view. I think if you're advertising an Intercontinental Championship match, you give them an Intercontinental Championship match. I think people maybe they voted because they wanted to see the Honky Tonk Man in action, or they wanted to see Piper in action. And instead, what we got was really good. I'm not saying it wasn't a good segment. It's just I don't think this is something that we should get on pay-per-view. I think we should be getting the matches that are advertised. Now, if you want to do the disqualification finish, that's fine. Just let the match progress a little bit. It was like we were a minute into the match, and then she tripped him or whatever, caused a disqualification, and then Piper and Goldust come out and fine. Like, still give Santino the promo because he's absolutely hilarious the way he mispronounces names. I think that's my favorite part of his character. But like, give me a match. Like, Santino can wrestle, a comedic match, and I think, obviously Honky Tonk Man, he held the title for 64 weeks, as we learned. He might still be able to move a little bit. If that's what you were worried about, put someone else in the match. I don't know. I thought it was a fine TV segment that we got on pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like, it's definitely one of those ones that would have worked better on TV anyway. But it is a lot of those, but yeah, and I've just realised the moment I was referring to earlier actually must have been a different Cyber Sunday because the rest of that I was involved with. But anyway, the next match we had was Undertaker versus Big Show. The voting options we had was a knockout match, a last man standing match, and an I Quit match. Out of those three options, which one would you have gone for, Jacob?
I think I would have gone last man standing. I think all three options are really good for these two guys. But yeah, I think last man standing. There's just something exciting about a last man standing match. I don't think an I Quit match makes sense with the Undertaker. Like, you don't expect him to say I quit. So it's like if that's it's like whenever John Cena is put into an I Quit match, the finish is never going to be in question. It's just a matter of when are we going to get there. With these other two, it's like, okay, well, maybe Big Show has a chance.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones. Like, I think if there's some kind of story there that required the need for an I Quit match, I think that works a lot better. But yeah, yeah, I would have gone last man standing match as well because it's one of those ones like when it comes to the Undertaker, I've always enjoyed watching the Undertaker. I want to see him in a decent match, and a match with the knockout stipulation. Like they quite often tend to not be as long as like a standard like last man standing match would be. But yeah, and last man standing match is what we got, and yeah, and it's one of those ones like, despite the criticisms for Big Show and that, he is a good he was a good worker. Like I enjoyed watching his matches. Like I know there's criticisms that he's boring to watch sometimes, but put him for the right person, you can get something. As Undertaker is one of those ones that he can make anyone look good in a match. Like even if it's a short 3-minute match at WrestleMania, like he's always willing to put on a match. And the like this was like what was the standard last man standing match? Like you had a lot of destruction happening, and it was just a really good match. But Jake, what are your thoughts about Undertaker versus Big Show?
Yeah, I thought this was great. I think you put Big Show in a match with the right opponent, and I think he can deliver. I've always liked Big Show more as a heel. I think he works better as a heel. I And then Undertaker obviously is Undertaker. He's one of the greatest in-ring performers ever. I think. Yeah, I think the stipulation obviously, if any stipulation is going to favor the Big Show when weapons can be involved, because he's already got the advantage just with his size. And I think the Undertaker, I think he made the Big Show look good. I thought he sold some spots really well. There were a couple moments where I'm like, I think Big Show should have won there. I mean, we kind of, when they were on the outside, and I think they went through the table or something.
Yeah.
And he stopped counting at 9, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna get like." There was every other one. There was like a 1 second pause in between, and then he got to 9, and he just stopped. And Big Show or Undertaker was like on his knees or something. Still, then he got up, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, obviously that wasn't the finish, but still, I mean, it's like, I don't know if they like. So, because sometimes when things happen like that, they'll use it to further the storyline. So I don't know if that happened here, but it was just one of those moments that I'm like, I nitpick sometimes.
Oh, like my understanding for Last Man Standing is like have them standing on their feet, but there's been a lot of issues I've seen, and not just that one. There's been a lot of times where a wrestler's on their knees, like the ref is like, good enough.
Yeah. No, really good match. Probably my favorite match of the night on the show.
Yeah. But then we had like the last of the Chris Jericho segments. This time he's appealing to Mike Adamle to change the stipulation, which obviously wasn't going to go his way anyway. But, I completely forgot Mike Adamle was a thing. But Jake, what are your thoughts about Jericho appealing to Mike Adamle?
Yeah, I mean, Jericho's always been a good talker, so he's going to make any segment, I think, at least enjoyable, except for maybe now with his current run. I'm still not sure how I feel about the learning tree. But back in 2008, like, this is one of my favorite Jericho runs, and obviously, yeah, he's doing the cowardly heel thing. But Mike Adamle, I forgot he was GM around this time. I think the only thing I really remember is when he called Jeff Harvey. And when that's the only thing you remembered for, you probably didn't do a lot of good in your on-screen career.
But then next up, we had Triple H defending his WWE Championship. The voting options was Jeff Harvey, Vladimir Kozlov, or both the triple threat. But which of those 3 options would you have gone for personally?
Oh, Jeff Hardy, easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny enough, a lot. I probably would have gone both, just because like there was a lot of like one-on-one matches on this card, so I would have probably voted both just to put vary it up a little bit more. But I mean, not disappointed with what we got, because like I'm a big fan of Jeff Hardy, and I think he's great, and I forgot how good we don't see much like Kozlov, but like just in the video page, I forgot how good Kozlov was when he wasn't paired with Santino. And because I think when he got paired with Santino, there's kind of when I feel like they lost faith in him being like this big monster that he could have been. But the match itself, I think Jeff Hardy and Triple H both worked well together. And there's a lot of times I thought Jeff Hardy was going to win the belt here, even though, like, obviously I know he doesn't win it here. He wins it the first time later on, but still, like, there's so many near falls, just made this match really exciting to watch. Anyways, just seeing them both kind of make it close. I think eventually we do get a triple threat between the two. It might have been the next pay per view or something. But Jake, what are your thoughts about Jeff Hardy versus Triple H?
Yeah, we got the triple threat at Armageddon. The Survivor Series, which was the next one, was a triple threat between Triple H, Kozlov, and Edge, who would return and win the belt. And then Hardy would take it at Armageddon, and only have it for like 6 weeks, which was a shame. He should have held that belt into Mania, I think. But this match was really good. Hardy, he was like super over with the crowd. I think the crowd was ready to see Hardy win that title. I think he was ready for the main event scene for quite some time. He's had other championship matches, and I think he's shown that he can hang with the main eventers. But yeah, several near falls. I honestly didn't remember either until watching this. I was like, oh, is this the show where he wins the belt? Because there were several times where I was like, oh, okay, this is it. Oh, wait, no. And then yeah. So some good back and forth. I think they both looked really good. Some really good spots. And yeah, I think Triple H kind of gave him that nod of approval at the end, a show of respect, which I always appreciate. Matt Hardy did the same thing to Evan Bourne earlier in the show. So yeah, really solid. I kind of wish this would have been the main event, but I understand like why the main event was the main event. But like, yeah, I think between the Big Show, Undertaker, Last Man Standing, and then this match, we had two really solid matches back to back. I thought that would have been a great way to end the show. But again, I understand why the main event was the main event.
Yeah. But then talking about that main event, Batista versus Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship. Which was a special guest referee, and the voting options was Randy Orton, Stone Cold, or Shawn Michaels. Which of those three would you have personally gone for?
I think, given where I know like storylines were at that time, I would have went Shawn Michaels. But I understand why most people would go Austin. Like anytime Austin is an option, go with Austin. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure Stone Cold's been the guest referee in so many different matches. It's like I've lost count. Because he was the special guest referee for Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, which also includes Influence of JBL at one point, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. For me personally, I actually probably would have gone the other way. I probably would have gone Randy Orton. Just because I don't know if because I think as I said throughout this, I think the voting for this match closed earlier than the others, or this, I can't remember exactly, but it's like I would have voted Randy Orton just to see if that whole legacy like backstage segment would play out. And that, but anyway, then we get to the match. Like it started off with like the match was decent enough to watch. Like Chris Jericho tried his best to get walk out of the match, get disqualified. Then Stone Cold got a mic and said, "Chris, if you get yourself counted out or disqualified, then I'm the loser belt because I'm Stone Cold and I say so." Because so which led to him walking to the ring. Now I kind of have expected like this. You get like Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels to come out and throw Chris Jericho back in the ring, but I didn't expect Chris to actually get back in the ring himself. But then we get the usual ref getting taken out moment, which Stone Cold got taken out at one point. Shawn Michaels came out and slow counted Jericho when he tried for a pin. Then JBL came out for some reason and attacked Shawn Michaels. I don't know quite if they were feuding at the time. And then you had Randy Orton come out and try to take out Stone Cold to help out Jericho, but then Stone Cold stunned him, then Batista, then pinned Jericho for the win. But it was a mess of a match, but there was a lot of fun moments as well. But Jake, what are your thoughts about Batista versus Jericho?
yeah, I think it was one of those. Shawn Michaels and JBL were feuding at the time. I think it was the storyline was Shawn Michaels that was going broke, and so he was kind of working for JBL. I don't know if this was just after Shawn was like, "No, I'm not working for you anymore," because I think they did a Team HBK versus Team JBL at Survivor Series the next month. So yeah, they were feuding at the time. I forgot about that until I saw him come out and pull him out of the ring. I was like, "Oh, that was around this time." I think he said, yeah, the match was decent. I think Chris Jericho obviously is a really good in ring worker. I've never been the biggest fan of Batista's in ring work. I think he's good, but he's not great. I think obviously he's got the size and the look. He's got that down. I think anytime there's a special guest referee, I think obviously they're going to get involved, unless it's just like a celebrity. I think more often than not they're going to get involved. I do appreciate that even though Stone Cold was taken out, it wasn't like your typical ref bump where when the ref gets taken out, they're out for like the next 5 minutes. He was back involved in the match pretty quickly. Yeah, I expected Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton to get involved as soon as that happened. I think yeah, Chris and Shawn were kind of feuding at the time too. I think I remember that ladder match that they had um, earlier in the year for the world title. That was really good. Um, but yeah, no, I like Batista. I think he like I said, he's a good in ring worker. Maybe slightly above average in my opinion. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was nice to see a title change. And obviously, you send the fans home happy. I think Batista was still super over with the crowd at this time. Austin obviously is always going to be super over whenever he returns. And yeah, I mean, the show ended on a nice note. And yeah, it's a shame that they this was kind of the last pay per view of this type. I'd love to see them bring it back in some capacity.
Yeah, I think they bring it back every now and then for war. But yeah, it's one of those ones like when they if they bring it back, like you know for sure the voting's not going to be like that legit. But but that's the pay per view. If you could go back and change one booking decision of this pay per view, but what would you change?
Um, I think I don't. That's a good question. Um, I might have given Jeff Hardy the victory. I know Edge returns at the next pay per view and takes the title. Um, then Jeff wins it again. Uh, but I think I'm not a big fan of hot potato with the title, but when it makes sense, I think it works. I think this could have made sense. Like, oh, he just won it, and oh, he lost it, and then oh, then he's gonna win it, and then he wins it again. Fans are happy again. So maybe that's the only thing because I thought this was a really good show, top to bottom. There's not a lot that I would change about it.
Yeah. Um, for me, like I would have made the Santino versus Honky Tonk Man an actual match rather than like a segment. I mean, obviously you can still have like Goldust and Robert Piper coming out after the match, and that I mean, obviously, like have Santino been like clean that, but it is what it is. It's just one of those ones it like what we got was a segment that would have been on TV anyway, but yeah, but Jacob, overall, what would you rate this pay per view out of 5?
I think I'd give it. I think I'd give it a solid 4. I think yeah, there's like you said the Santino match segment would have been better on TV, but I still enjoyed it. There wasn't a lot of booking decisions that I disagree with. I thought we got some really solid matches top to bottom. And I think the only thing that I might have changed the match order a little bit. I think I might have would have ended with Triple H, Jeff Hardy, and had the world title before that. But other than that, like I thought this was a really good show, and it was really well booked.
Yeah, for me, I probably would have gone a little bit less than that. I went 3 out of 5 for me personally, but once again, like it's one of those ones like it was really enjoyable. Yeah, and it's one of those ones like I don't think it necessarily really needed the like well I not that I'm saying I didn't enjoy seeing it was like I always enjoyed seeing divas in their costumes whenever they did, but I don't think it need like you could have done that on an episode of War as well, and like you didn't really need that. And
That's
I
what
think
they used as filler back then. Now we get Peacock ads. Back then it was, hey, what are the divas doing?
yeah, and I think Batista versus Jericho. I think it was a little bit too much of a mess, but it was still fun. It was still fun, but yeah. But with that, that is the end of the show for today. It's time to spin the wheel, see what the next pay per view will be. Um, still 643 pay-per-views to go. I'm set for like 15 years. And we're going back to WCW. It's WCW sold out from 98.
1998?
Yeah.
Ooh, I think we covered that on Lonely Marks. It sounds very familiar.
Okay, I'm bringing that up quickly because I've still got a little bit of time. Yeah, so I've got like Benoit and Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio, Booker T, Rick Martel. The main event was Lex Luger versus Randy Savage.
No, not the one we covered. The one we covered it was had Hulk Hogan versus Billy Kidman on it. I can't remember what year that was, but that was yeah.
It sounds like it might have been something that was 99 or something. It was not 99. Seemed to have a lot of. Has been WCW pay-per-views been down. But there's the end of this for today. But Jacob, where can people find you online?
Yeah, I pop up various places from time to time. I often contribute to Rankum, which you can find on Take 3. I appear on JPO's channel doing trivia or hosting and whatever on the Pierce Co. The main place you can find me is the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast. Every Thursday, we will be talking wrestling. This Thursday, I believe we're doing a draft. The PWI 100 came out, so that will be our pool of draft selections. We talk news. We cover any of the big shows that happen. So if you like talking wrestling, if you like people talking about wrestling, go join us over there every Thursday.
But you can find me on Take 3 Productions as host Rankin every Sunday night. Next week we're doing top 12 J.K. Simmons movies. You can also find me on my personal channel, Midwest Media, which is where you're watching this. And next week we're doing WCW Sold Out. At the rate I'm going for WCW, they're going to finish WCW really quickly. They keep getting spun. But you can also find me sort of popping up here and there on other channels in about like 40-ish minutes on over on Movie Network, starting the latest series of 98. And yeah, but until next time, that is the end of Seven Past this week, and we shall see you next time.